All right. Started on time. So we'll give it just a minute, kind of let it ramp up. I put this out on Facebook about an hour ago, put out a notification and stuff. I figure we'll wait maybe just 2 or 3 minutes and then we'll get going. Try to like do an hour. I don't do YouTube live a lot, but I'm off this week. I'm working in the shop. I'm putting out videos, and all of these parts came in, and it's like, you know, I can do a YouTube live. I've got the time. Let's do it. Let's do it. So, but you don't get a retake because it's live. Whatever you say, there it is. Anyway, we're already a minute in, and it looks like we've got over 20 people, so we'll just go ahead and get started. Now, I am going to tell y'all, I shoot this from my phone live because that's where I get the most solid service, where everything works. But the comments scrolling, I may miss a comment. If it's not like a super chat that sticks or something like that, I might miss something. So, like, I apologize, and I'll go back and I'll read all of them. I'll try to answer you later or PM you or whatever I need to do if I miss your comment. So don't get mad at me if I miss your comment, because it's all just on the cell phone, and so it's just flying up through there on me. Okay, you've been warned. All right, so you see we're putting the videos out like on the build here, you know, just bang, 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 bang. So like last night I did that floorboard. This morning, since I didn't have to go to work, got in there, spent a couple hours, got that thing edited and up. And like tomorrow is Friday, and I am planning on bending tubing and videoing tomorrow so that like I'll be able to turn around and do the same thing. I don't know if it'll be Saturday. It may be the Sunday regular one is the one that we actually do next. But they're going like crazy. Well, in the meantime, parts have been coming in. And, you know, I listed, and if you saw, you know, on the Facebook page, if you watch our Dirt Race Life Facebook or mine, Jason Dukes, you know, either Facebook, you know, I pretty well cover the same content on them. And so I have been showing these different parts that people have sponsored us to help us be able to just keep going and get this build done and hopefully be on the track early in the spring. All these parts are coming in. I want to go through them and show you some of them, because some of this stuff, because some people spent some big money to help us on this build that I couldn't just come up with. But some of these parts may not go on for a month. So I want to go ahead and show y'all what people have done and what the parts are. We may have to put some of them on a shelf for a while, but then obviously we're going to talk about it when we actually put the parts on as well. And then tell you, some of these parts are pretty cool, so I want to show y'all. All right, so going through here, let's see, center link. I tell you what, Billy Sturgill, he sponsored several parts. Billy Sturgill's up in Ohio, and he owns A to Z mobile service, and he's got like several race cars that's like friends and family of his that he supports and sponsors and runs. And, you know, he likes what we're doing, and he sponsors us, you know, and so he did several parts. I want to show you the parts that Billy Sturgill has sent us. What they did, they went on my website, dirtracelife.com, and what I did was I just set up the parts like in my store where that people could like go in and sponsor that part, and then that part would get ordered and would come to me. And that's some complicated stuff to set up on a website. Don't ask me how to do that. That like took me weeks to figure out. Anyway, okay, the center link that we're going to use. This is the AFCO, what they call improved center link. And so it is 4 metric car to give you better bump steer is what this is all about. It's where this is located in relationship. You know, in other words, your 2 holes in the middle are right to square it and exit out. But this is different. And I'll get the measurements on that. On my website, I've got where the diagrams, I put in diagrams. And so like I've got all of these center links with all of the measurements on them. On my website, if you scroll down through there, I think you'll see I've got like a section that's like a table, and you'll see where I've got like center links, you know, and you click on it, and it's got all the pictures with all the measurements and stuff. Well, it's different for this AFCO improved. And what I understand, I'm going to check when I measure this, I'll tell y'all, but my understanding is that actually this is the 82 to 90 something Camaro, the generation Generation 3 Camaro is what this actually is. That's what I've been told, but I haven't measured myself. We'll find out when we put it on. But Billy got us that, and let's see what else. I went ahead and picked up some of these gussets, and yep, scissors, open them up. Okay, I buy these things and I use them. So these gussets like this right here is where you put in the corners, and really helps, especially if you've got an awkward corner that it's really hard for you to weld up, and you're, like you're wanting to make sure that that corner is robust, or, if you, in other words, where that you've got a lot of stress, if you're in impact where the tube's going to shove down into the other tube really hard. Well, these gussets that are made like this right here are spreading that the most. See, because it's creating that plane that's all the way across the tube, not just a triangle, right in the center of the tube that could punch in. So I like these, and I usually will take, and around the halo, I will take, and so I'll weld it normal all the way, don't skip any welding, and then right where the gusset is going to contact those triangles where they would overlap the weld and stick out, I'll take a flat disc and clean the weld back right there where that's going to contact it and sit it in there, and then weld this up over the top of it. So at least like 4 or 5 around the top where it goes down into the cage. That's my shtick, how I like to do that. I think these things just add a layer of safety that really doesn't add any weight, doesn't take any time, they look good, And so anyway, so I got these. And let's see. I've got a tachometer that I went to the digital recall Longacre. Is it Longacre? No, I think it's I can't remember. I hadn't got it yet. Don't shoot me. But anyway, I'm going to the digital recall tack that is just the flat tack. I am doing the overhead console again. I'm going to do it a little bit different. I had it a little bit too high in this car. I was really afraid of that overhead console being too low, and my idea of something better actually hindering me on seeing the flagman or something like that. And so I put it way up there. I put the whole halo way up there and everything. And so what I wanted where my eyes just, do this. In other words, it's just right there to look up. I'm actually looking like way up. And so I'm putting it in. But now that I have built my first car doing that, I really have a good understanding of where I'm at and where my eyesight is and where it needs to be. So I've got something to go by where I can get it just right on this car. So we're going to do it. Tachometer's going to be up there, oil and water, obviously. It hadn't come in yet. And then the trailing arm mounts. Oh, yeah, and Billy started. This is the last thing that Billy helped us with. Okay, so these trailing arm mounts right here. Jamie Lewis turned me on to this. I was talking to Jamie about clamp-on trailing arm mounts for a metric, because I know I'm going to use, and I'll talk about the quick change later, okay? Anyway, because, I'm completely honest about everything. Even when I'm wrong, I'm completely honest. But anyway, so I got a 60-inch, 9-inch Ford that is in the crush. It is going in the metric car. My understanding is between the metrics and the 7377, the upper mounts are fine. The same upper mounts exist. If they don't, I'll have to fix them. But my understanding is they're identical. But anyway, same upper. But the lowers on the 7377, those trailing arms are straighter, and the front mount points are further apart. And on the metric, they're closer in. And so for that reason, that angle of where this tube goes in back here is much different, so between the two. All right, so I got the clamp-ons. Back to Jamie Lewis. So I was asking Jamie about this. He had these in his shop, and I was asking about them because it keeps me from having to guess on where to weld them on. And if I had the time and stuff, I'm a budget racer. I would probably just set it all up and spot them and move them and turn them and work the rear end and everything. But time crunch, I'm like, I really need clamp-ons. And so DCA Racing and Fabrication, like I said, Billy Sturgill sponsored these. I've never bought anything from this company before. Jamie buys a lot of stuff from them, really likes them. So I got on their website and I ordered them and everything. And they, like I said, I ordered them last week when Billy, he went in there, and when he clicked on them, it sent it all through and did it. And boom, here they are. And what I did on them, so the left rear, I went with the multi-hole. The Crate Racing USA, the maximum drop down is 2 3/4 inches from the tube is all we're allowed. So, and this thing works out. It's not exactly what I need. You know, it is 2 1/2 and 3 1/4. It really needs to be 2 3/4 right there. Now, Quick Performance that built my rear end, and they put the brackets on, you know, for the 73, 77 style, their top hole was 2 3/4 on the money. But on this one, like I said, that first hole's 2 1/2, that hole there is 3 1/4. We may just be in that hole right there. And, you know, I'll just argue over the accuracy of his tape measure, whatever. But anyway, there it is. It comes with a mount. I think that's a shock mount right there where you can take, and what I think Jamie was using was like a Weir's, like one of Cody Weir's shock mounts. But I didn't get any shock mounts for this. I've got shock mounts on the car. If I don't have a conflict, I'm going to leave those shock mounts. If I need to weld on here, we'll get to that. I got shock mounts. But anyway, so multi-hole on the left side. Of course, you see it comes with the clamp bracket. Comes with the bolts and everything. And then on the right side, I didn't get the drop down holes. On the right side, we're going to mount this thing right up close to the tube. We want the right rear trailing arm to be flat. We want that thing at 0. So, you know, if that hole's 0, if I need to drill a hole even closer to make 0 and it'll work, you know, whatever, I'm going to try to make 0 on the right side for this. So yeah, price-wise on those, let's see. The right side one that's not the multi-hole drop down was $59, and the left side drop down was $69. So $10 more for the extra holes and everything. But yeah, and I went ahead and got the multi-hole because, you know, if we were to run that car in like Power Eye or some other, or like a non-crate racing, but it fits the rules, some local track or something. There's some tracks out there that like they just kind of run their own street stock or open hobby class. Then I would probably, you know, investigate possibly dropping down on the holes to get more drive if the car needed it. So, you know, better safe than sorry. Okay. So I got those from DCA, and they're in Wisconsin. And they're on the web. What is their website? Oh, DCA Racing and Fabrication. I don't have their website. Hey guys, put your website on your receipt, and then I would be sitting there telling people where to go. You've been warned. All right, so we were talking about, all right, and so that's all the stuff that Billy Sturgill from A to Z purchased for us. Billy, thank you. And then Keith Whitmer, we were talking about shock mounts. So Keith Whitmer, we went ahead, we got from Speedway all of the shock mounts to go all the way around the car. If the lowers work on the trailing arms themselves, I don't have to use 2 of them. If they don't work, then I've got mounts that I can just weld on. Either way. Or I drill a hole through them and bolt them on. Either way, I'm good. And the ones that I ended up getting, I've got the ones where they're in sets for $20 where you get both ends. And I got the ones, open this thing up here to show you. So I got the ones that's got the 2 holes like that right there. And the reason I did, I got them front and back. I just got all of the same ones. No, did I get those? No, for the rear, I just got the 1 hole. I got the 1 hole jobs for the rear. But the reason I got the 2 holes on the front was specifically because if I'm going to try to get this worked out to where when I mount them, I'm clearing my spring and I've got some room if I need it. So like, for example, on the right front, you know, it's like, I'm going to try to work it out where that if to make it work, if I was to go shorter on the control arm, I can start out on the outside hole. And if I go to the inside hole, you know, I could possibly like drop back another 1/4 inch or another 1/2 inch on the trailing arm itself and have clearance, just insurance wise, you know. So left and right front to the 2 hole. That's the only reason. That's the only reason I did it. Probably will never need it, but there was no price difference So I thought, let me go ahead and get these just in case, give me a little bit of future proofing in case I got to change the build or the plan as I'm racing to make the car work better. All right. And so Keith Whitmer bought these for me. Thank you, Keith. I really appreciate it. All right, let me get them out. Oh, bunch of them. A bunch of them. Okay. Next up, Alex Garza. Alex has been with me here for a long time, messages me, leaves a lot of comments and stuff. And I'm trying to remember where Alex is out of. He may be out from the West Coast. But anyway, Alex bought us our weight jack nuts. I needed new weight jack nuts the whole way around the car. Oh, and I didn't tell you, but these sets for the upper and lower were $20 a set, like $10 per top or bottom. I think $10 each is what those were. The weight jack nuts, I think, were $10 a piece. And anyway, and this is the kind that I got with the Zerk fitting already drilled for the grease fitting, good tall jokers. And the way that these will work, I will take a multi-step drill bit, and like on my jack plates on the front of the car, I'll drill down through until I get to this size, and then that'll actually go in from underneath so that shoulder is sitting against that 3/8 plate. And then the weld around the top is really just to keep it from twisting, rocking, or anything like that. Pressure-wise, that shoulder on the bottom is just pushing up. You don't want to weld this from the top, because you weld it from the top, now you're trying to pull a weld apart. It's a lot easier and a lot stronger to just have it flange, push against it. So that's the way we're going to install these. I got 10 of them. Alex Garza, he's the one that purchased these for us. And because I've got them all the way around on this car, but they're welded in. They got tubes going into them, all kind of stuff. That would be a butchered up mess by the time I got them cut out. That was one of the things that if I cut out was going to absolutely ruin this car. I'm stealing from this frame, but this frame might get put away for some future day or something. So I'm thinking about it now, like, because everybody jumped in, because some of these parts I probably would have cut off the car if I had to, and now I don't. So, you know, maybe one day. Definitely going to do something with the top of that halo if this car ever gets run again, though. But anyway, got 4 of these from Alex Garza. Alex, thank you. And let's see. All right, next up, lower and upper ball joints. Jared Flower from out in California. Jared's got a Camaro he is building out there. I've talked to him several times. He is, I ain't gonna say he's got a train wreck, but buddy, he's had his hands full when he built a Camaro out there. And anyway, okay, on the lowers, these are the QA1. I'm going to rebuild them, and I want to tell y'all something. I'm not cutting corners on this car anywhere. I mean anywhere. I am going to make sure that I have left no stone unturned on whatever could possibly, you know, be the thing I need to do for this car to be competitive. So along those lines, low friction, rebuildable, screw-in ball joints, top and bottom. Big price jump right there. Could not do that if I did not have sponsors. So Jared, thank you. And so like these are the lowers. They are the QA ones. Of course, obviously you see how that the bottom unscrews there. So this stud right here, if you bend it, and you've bent it, you can replace the stud. And if you want to change length, I'm putting the plus ½ inch in the bottom. But if I need to go to zeros or I need to go to 1, I don't have to buy the entire assembly again. I can buy just the stud in the different length, you know, and replace it. So those are the QA1s. And QA1 makes this. So this is the 770, I can't remember, 772. It's 772 and 727. I can't remember which is which. But anyway, so this is the Chrysler ball joint for the lower, but QA1 makes this ball joint in the 10 degree that will fit the Camaro style spindle, which is what I'm putting on this car. And it's convenient because I have Camaro spindles, but build wise, I'm getting a lot of feedback from some very good racers that are saying you want the Camaro spindle on the metric frame. That's the one you want to put on. So, you know, it's convenient for me because I've got them. I have them here on the crush that I'm going to snatch off of it. But at the same time, that is the one that I'm being told, you know, is the best. And, you know, it's like from a roll center geometry standpoint, it is taller than a Pinto or a metric. It's definitely beefier. But it's taller, so you know you can get a tremendous amount of angle in your upper control arm on that Camaro spindle that you can't get as easily on a metric, you know, without like putting the mount all the way down on the frame and then putting like an 1.5 or 2 inch tall ball joint, you know, on the upper. So there's a big advantage right there between how they work. So yeah, so there's the lowers that Jared got for us. I got 2 of those. And then on the uppers, now on the uppers, I went with the Howe. And they came, so you buy them as one unit, rebuildable unit, but it comes in 2 parts. They just got the part number for the stud itself and then the part number for the ball joint. So I'll open this up and hopefully staple it back up and not lose the part before I put it together. But anyway, so here's how the Howes come. But yeah, so here's how these come. So again, the screw-in Chrysler style, but it's not the same between the top and the bottom. They are 2 different sizes. It drops through and then you screw it together. That is a very nice piece right there. Okay, I did the plus ones, I think. I did the plus ones on top, on both sides, is what I went with. I went with the plus ones. I did not offset. I didn't do a difference between them. I don't want my roll center moved way over. It's going to move some because the car is going to be sitting statically over on the right front. But yeah, so it screws together. Same deal. You can change the stud out right here. But on these Howes, and these are the best ones I come up with, cost-wise, low friction, replaceable, and everything. But that is a 7 degree, not a 10 degree. And your GM, like your Camaros, is a 10 degree up there. And so anyway, so I got a 7 degree reamer. And anyway, so I'm going to have to ream them. And I went ahead and went plus one for that reason as well, because when I ream these, I'm going to be deeper, and I'm probably going to have to stack maybe 2 or 3 washers right here, because I'm going to have to take that reamer on down into that spindle until I correct to 7 degrees all the way through. And so she's gonna sit deep. So they may not be sitting truly plus one when I get done. They may be sitting at plus 3/4. I'll have to just see where they land, how that works. But regardless, I need to take the reamer until I get the full cut all the way through. Otherwise, I'm going to bend stuff really easy. So that's going on. Like I said, uppers and lowers there. Jared Flower put this up on them. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. All right, so that was that stuff. Get that out of the way. Now, I have never bought anything from Weir's Machining before, but I watched Cody and Mr. Bob Harris. They got a show. They put out a new video every 2 weeks. I'm going to tell y'all, if y'all aren't watching that, they do not have that many subscribers. There are not that many people that actually know about Bob and Cody's show. They've been doing it, I think, for 2 years now. They started doing it when the big corona hit, you know, and everything got locked down. And they started doing it, and they've been keeping it up ever since. And they primarily don't talk about anything but modifieds and street stocks. And mostly IMCA street stocks, IMCA hobby stocks, IMCA street stocks. But, you know, there's some, you know, discussion. It's, you know, crate racing street stocks, factory stocks from, you know, other parts of the country or whatever. I mean, it's fine. You know, I mean, you know, Mr. Bob, he'll just say, you know, I'm not familiar with that class, but if it's like this, here's what I think. And they talk a lot about, like, the logic behind how suspension works, why you make changes, or like why you would make a change to a spring rate to go up or down for a particular issue or to get an effect change. they talk about the kind of stuff that really helps you get your head wrapped around how to make a car faster. And so if you are not watching their show, I will put a link on, where will I put that link? I'll put it on YouTube. I'll put it in the description of this later, okay? I'll put it in the description of this. But just look up Bob Harris. I think it's Race Logic. No, it's not Race Logic. Somebody put it in the comments down there what their name of their show is, where people can find it. Because honestly, you need to go all the way back to the beginning and you need to watch every one of them. They're like 2 hours a piece. You need to watch every last one of them. So, Cody Weir's Machining. Stuff's a little bit pricey. Some of it is, but it's really good stuff. And he makes something, and so he sent me this box, and I have not looked in here yet. I got a drop cup for the right front. So I was watching the last episode. Somebody else told me, said, hey, watch that episode, and I hadn't got to it yet, and I watched it. I heard him talking about the drop cup, but he was explaining why you should run a drop cup on the right front, and he sold me. He sold me. I mean, I got it. I got it. So I ordered, first order ever with Weir's, and for the drop cup, and they sent me, it's Christmas time, so I don't know if you would receive this stuff the rest of the year. I don't know if it's a Christmas thing. I don't know if it's because I'm a first-time customer, because it's not like I called them up and said, hey, I do a YouTube channel, send me extra stuff. I mean, they don't know who I am. I just put in an order, Jason Dukes. So anyway, so they sent me a wall mount cell phone holder. So that's going in the trailer. That's going in the race trailer. I know exactly why he sells those. It's got adhesive on the back of it. Yeah, but it's Weir's Machining wall mount cell phone holder. So that's a pretty cool Christmas gift right there. Thank y'all. Nice hat. Nice hat. So let me see. Oh, yep. Whoop. No, that's going to squeeze my brain out right there. Hang on. Let's go out of the hole. Really nice hat. One more. Really fat head. Oh, there it is. Okay. Couple decals. Oh, let's see. Scores It Ultimate Scorekeeper. Okay, that's like a trailer piece. That's a coupon there for some type of a trailer part they make for holding drinks and stuff in there. And there's some stuff. So they got a couple of coupons here. There's an Expo. That's a flyer. That's pretty cool. Got a catalog. Appreciate that. I know on the channel he says if you will just email him, they will send you a catalog. I have no problem sending people catalogs. I like the paper catalogs. I order the stuff online, but a lot of times looking through the catalog, you can kind of figure out what you're looking for. Because sometimes you're trying to solve a problem, you don't know exactly what to ask for, what the name of it is. Catalogs really help with that, y'all. So anyway, so send me a catalog. And check this out. Speedway. I have not gotten one of these in 20 years, y'all. I'm telling you. Speedway Illustrated right there. I have not read that in a long time. I don't really follow World of Outlaws as much and that kind of stuff. I'm just kind of into street stocks, period. Just street stocks stuff. But yeah, of course I love anything on dirt. But anyway, Speedway Illustrated right there. All right, that was just the goodies. That was the goodies. That wasn't even the thing. I don't want to put all this back. Oh, all right, so this drop cup right here. This drop cup, all right, so before I go any further, this drop cup was sponsored. Somebody sponsored me for it, and they said, like, I'm not worried about credit or talking about it or anything like that. I just like what you do, and I want to help you out. And hey, thank you. I appreciate that. You know who you are. So anyway, let's open it up. Let's talk about what it is, how we use it. Yada, 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 yada. All right, so that's on the front. You can put these on the back as well. Now, I went with the inside. He makes these inside model, and he makes an outside model. It's a big cup, but your jack bolt goes down through here. It has got a swivel ball on the bottom. You see that swivel bearing there in the bottom of it? So it will twist, rotate, turn, the whole 9 yards. Whatever it needs to do, it will do. And this is for a 5-inch. I went with the inside, and the reason I went with the inside is because, you know, shock clearance is always a challenge, you know, on the right front of the car, because, you know, you're short, you know, you're running that real short control arm and everything. And so shock clearance is always a challenge right there. So I went with the inside. If you're going to run the Torrington bearing, where this spring can like turn and like that as well, then I think you're supposed to run the outside cut, because that keeps that dirt from just getting ingested right into that bearing, which is really a maintenance problem. I mean, you got to clean the bearings, I think, very, very regularly, no matter what. But like that's even with the inside of the cup. But I went with the inside model, where it goes inside of it. This is, I think, I think this was the 2.5 inch. Let me see. I think it's 2.5 inches of drop. Let me see what it says. It doesn't say, but I believe this one was the 2.5 inches drop. I think you can get it like 1.25 inches of drop, or 2.5 inches of drop, where the jack is down in here. All right, so enough about that. Let's talk about why. Spring table. So even when you've got the exact same rate spring on both sides, if you put the top of that spring where the weight sits lower on one side than the other, you create like a mechanical advantage, like a leverage. And here's the best way I can describe that. Like how would you describe that, you know, to understand that real world? Okay, imagine that you had, you know, a chair, a straight back chair on your left side, and you were putting your hand or a rail or something that was like 4 foot up in the air. Okay, so you got 4 foot up in the air on your right side, and you can pick yourself up off of it. And then imagine that you had a cinder block or something on the right side over here, and you put your right foot on a cinder block. And so you're standing up on a cinder block on your right side, and you're on this rail on the left side, and one of them is, you know, 4 foot, 3 foot off the ground, and one of them is 1 foot or 2 foot off the ground. It is much easier for you to shift your weight over on a lower object than it is a higher object. It's like, in other words, it's like where your center of gravity is in comparison to where that weight is sitting is a leverage. And so even if you have the exact same spring on both sides, if you change the height between them, the car still feels the spring differently, because you have a mechanical advantage difference between a center of gravity. Like, in a good way to describe this would be like if your center of gravity was here and it was up here, just, you know, for the spring, you know, versus down here below the center of gravity, then the car is going to be able to like lean over on this spring much easier than it can lean over on that spring. It's not near that much, but that idea, that philosophy of how spring table works, and we've been knowing and doing it on the rear of cars, but on the front of cars, it is an advantage. And I had not really thought about it, and I hadn't got it. And then in their last episode, he was talking about it. He was talking about how that, like, it can really help between that and the bearing for you to be able to run more spring rate on the right front to get the advantage of the spring rate that's going to be able to get you off the corner. You know, more spring on the right front, middle off, is going to really help you traction up and move that weight back to the rear of the car, back to that left rear, traction up and get off the corner. Okay, but the problem is that as you put more spring in that right front, that's going to start making it more difficult for you to navigate into the corner, you know, to transition through entry into the middle, you know, and then you've got to have more and more shock to compensate, you know, or you can't run as much shock, you can't run as much spring, you know, in order to get into that corner the way you want to. But then when you're not running as much spring, so that's slowing you down on exit. All right, so no, I'm talking all around this. But anyway, but as you change that spring table and you create this mechanical advantage, The car is going to be able to enter better into the turn, but at the same time, you still got more spring rate that's going to help you getting off. So it is overall an advantage. So maybe like, and I guess like in my mind, and I don't know, I need to ask this question, but like maybe like if I was going to run a 850 or 900 pound spring on the right front, maybe that puts me in a situation to where I can run 1,000 or 1,050, but it feels like the 850 did on entry, but now my exit's better. So that was what that they had kind of explained, and I was like, that was clicking with me. I was like, yep, that makes sense. This is something I need to do. So there he is. I got it. Thank you for putting it on there. We're going to run level cut on the left side, and like I said, 2.5 on the right side. All right, let's see. Where am I at? Oh, the only other, Chuck and Tawny Live and Good, they bought us Joe's upper control arms. They have not come in yet, Joe's. Joe's Racing Products has shipped them out, but we are putting the Joe's bearing, the kind that we can disassemble, because we're running Jamie Lewis's upper control arm brackets. And so we're going to take the bolt, we're using the bolt apart upper control arms. They have not come in yet. Chuck, they're on the way. Thank you, buddy. Chuck bought both of those for me. Those things are pricey. Oh, I didn't tell y'all what that cost. See, when I'm on YouTube Live like this, I don't get to cut out all of my brain just going all over the place. See, when I edit these videos, y'all don't see all of that because I cut out all of this scattered thought going on. So, yeah. The Weir's drop cut was $70. You probably need to buy several things because like the shipping for me was like another $25. So, you know, so I covered the shipping on it. But yeah. All right. And then, like I said, I have the uppers that have not come in yet, but Chuck and Tawny that have been sponsoring me since 3 months after I started the channel. They've been with me when I just had nothing going on. But they're on the way because those things are like $200 a piece, and they went ahead and just bought both of them for us. Oh, and that's the parts that have come in. I have been running wide open through this thing, and so I have not been looking at the comments. So y'all let me catch up right quick. Let's see where we're at. And couple must-haves, the ball joint wrench. Yes, ball joint wrench. I know I've got to get the ball joint. I've been told. All right, and Sam Ferguson. Sam's been commenting on stuff and giving me some good information. Sam said the Camaro too. He get the Camaro spindle, works best. Yep, I got the Camaros. That's what we're going with. What type of Chrysler does the ball joint come on factory style? I think it's back in the 70s. I think those Chrysler ball joints, Junior, were on all of their products and everything. Somebody else can comment on that. Let's see. RF Chassis is saying the hybrid spindles with 10 degree, that 3-piece spindle. I know a lot of people that, you know, if they're not running the Camaro, they're running the 3-piece like Speedway spindle. Like I said, we're going with the Camaros, and I got some good information saying, hey, run that Camaro. I'm reading these comments backwards. I guess I need to go through them forward. Rachel Taylor's on here. And, okay, yeah, I'm glad I saw Rachel on here because I want to talk about the ice bowl. Y'all don't let me forget. We got to talk about the ice bowl. On the Berm, they are building a factory stock right now, y'all. If you have not checked out On the Berm, go to YouTube. All right, just do this for me. Go to YouTube and just type in On the Berm, okay? They're in Alabama. They're building factory stocks. They got another one they're doing now, and doing great work. I think they're just over the line on monetization. I think you're over 1,000 subscribers now. That's a really big deal because they're spending a lot of money. And, you know, when you get monetized, when you get over 1,000, you know, subscribers with YouTube, then at that point, you know, YouTube will start sending you a check. It's not a lot, y'all. You know, it may start out, it might be $50 a month, $100 a month, or something like that, but it makes a difference. It helps to be able to, you know, buy the parts, do the video and stuff. If y'all have not bought these GoPros and these stuff and the editing computers and software, like, yeah, it's tough. It's tough, but check them out on the Berm. They're doing great stuff. They're doing, it looks great what they're doing. The car they're doing now really looks good. Let's see, Dylan McCreary, Leaf Trader. I'm not a Leaf Trader, Dylan McCreary. We are running the Camaro at the Ice Bowl. We're going to win in the Leaf at the Ice Bowl. I do not want to hear it, Dylan McCreary. Dylan McCreary is one of the best Leaf Spring drivers I have seen in the South. He is awesome. Josh Foreman. Thank you, Josh. Alex Garza's on there. Rachel, need to do more videos with you. Well, Rachel's going to be all in the ones down there at the Ice Bowl. Brian Swigger. Brian's building a Ford chassis. He's been sending me stuff. He uses DCA. Rocco Procop. I cannot pronounce that, Rocco. I'm sorry. He has a great last name, y'all. Upper mounts, the B-body, are spread out farther than the metric coil buckets. Okay, so I might have to move my upper mounts. If we do, we do. We'll move them. We'll move them. Let's see. Todd Clark, he says, I've been using and selling the same mounts for last year, and they've been awesome. So Todd uses them as well. I think I have to run my shocks, Todd, on the rear of the rear end for the CRUSA rules. I think I have to have my shocks behind the rear end. Oh, let's see. Jay Stowe's with us watching. Tim O'Donnell, Jay Stowe. Let's see. I think I've just about caught up, y'all. Just about. There's Rick Jones. Race Tech Info with Bob Harris. Race Tech. Rick Jones was the one saying Race Tech. Y'all go on Google, go on YouTube and search for Race Tech Info. Let's see. And who else? And Junior Welchin, been with us, supporting us for many years. And are we caught up yet? Dustin. Harbor Freight's got that ball joint wrench. Okay, well, that works because I got a local Harbor Freight. And Martin Racing says, have I ever thought about getting into modifieds? I have a good friend of mine, David Cove, David's Diesel Parts in Ripley, Tennessee, that sponsors us. There's a lot of parts he keeps on the shelf for us, especially the all electrical stuff. He runs modifieds, and he's gotten older and he doesn't have the time anymore to run them like he used to, but I go with David, and, I love modifieds. I ain't gonna lie. Open wheel modifieds, in the South. I like A-mods, full on, give me 700 horsepower. I want something that will absolutely blow the tires off of it because it makes it all driver. I really enjoy. I really enjoyed it. TJ Herndon, when he ran modifieds, I really like to watch TJ run. TJ is probably one of the best street stock drivers it is, but he's cheating a little bit because he learned to drive in those modifieds, open A-mods. And so, it's nothing for him to get in a street stock and be able to keep it hooked up in the slick. But anyway, all right, so we're caught up. We're caught up with that. So let's talk about the Ice Bowl here. So we're going, man, I'm shaking that camera. I'm on top of this car right here, y'all. I'm sorry about that. It is that deck. That deck is doing that. So let me quit touching the camera. All right, so we're going to the Ice Bowl next week, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. That's down at Talladega. That's the Talladega short track. The weather is going to be challenging. They did have rain. Now the rain's out. It's going to be cold as snot, like 50s for high and high 20s for lows. I got antifreeze in the Camaro. But anyway, it's next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I think it's January the 4th, 5th, and 6th, something like that. The crate race and street stocks, they're qualifying and running their heats on Thursday night. The factory stocks, it's just practice for them on Thursday night. Of course, we're running the Camaro and factory stock. So we're going to be there Thursday, hopefully where we can get a parking spot and get in there and be able to get the car on the track Thursday night. And I was going to take and put I've got the 620 in the Camaro. I was going to put the 633 in. I know the track's going to go completely slick, no matter what, no matter the rain. It's going to be black, 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 black. I like the high side better than the low side. I got some good information that I probably needed 633 or 650. I'm on the low side, but if it's completely black, that Camaro has got such a great torque cam in it. And it just picks up the throttle so good. Even when the motor's not opening up, it'll just motor up. And so I think I'm going to take and go with the 620. I'm going to take the 633 with me. If I need to swap, I'll swap. But I think I'm going to go with the 620 because that way, hopefully, I can just get up on the high side and just motor and just stay out of the way, stay out of the wrecks, and just drive around everybody. So that's my plan. I am driving. I got my seat in it. I got it set up. I have not touched it since we took it to the World Championships. That car was money. By the time it was over, I really understood exactly what it needed. And after I got done, I knew exactly what it needed for me to have been better when the track was hooked up. So, like, I'm not touching that car. I'm going to change oil in it. We're going to go through. Mr. Jim Haleman sent us his tire washing stand. I have not made that video on it. We are going to do a video on his tire washing stand that he has made. It's very inexpensive, and it puts a tire on an angle where that you can scrub and wash tires and get to both sides without having to flip them over and bend over and work on them and all of this stuff. It's a really awesome piece and stuff. That's coming up next week. We're going to do a video on the prep for the Camaro. So we're going to go through. I've got 4 new tires that we've run one time. So they got like 1 heat cycle on them. And so we're going to put those on the Camaro, prep out everything. Like I said, we're going to put Mr. Jim's tire washing machine together where we can go through and we can, wash the tires and get them ready, prep it out, change the oil in it, go over the nuts and bolts and grease it and clean the air filter. And like that car's ready to go. I'm not touching the scale numbers on it. It's exactly where it needs to be. On that, we're going to get there on Thursday. It's practice. Friday for us is qualifying and heats. Saturday is the feature. I think there's some rain in the forecast on Saturday. In the past, they have just run on Sunday makeup when they can. It's usually always just terribly muddy, but it's amazing. I mean, it's like 3 years ago I was down there. It was 450 cars. It was wild. It's just wild. So anyway, so that's happening. Me and Rachel are going. I couldn't talk Kim into it. She said, nope, ain't doing the cold. Not going to do it. So Kim's not going. It's just me and Rachel. I'll take help. If you show up, just be warned. I'll put you to work. And we don't have a four-wheeler or anything like that. So we are chomping mud back and forth to the track. And if it is a muddy mess, where that you have to have a four-wheeler or a UTV to push your car to the track, y'all don't forget about me if you're down there. Come help push my car to the track where we can run. So that's next week. What we're planning on doing is we will video every night we're there, and then we'll turn around and we'll video every night that we're there, and then the next morning in the hotel room, I will spend 2 or 3 hours before I head to the track just editing and get that video out. So we'll have a video, same way we did when we did the Street Stock Nationals, we did the World Championship. If I'm just in a hotel room, I'm going to be working. We're going to be editing video. We're going to get that video out before I walk out of the hotel room. And that's the plan on what we're doing there. Okay, what's next? Where are we at on time? Oh, we're coming up on an hour. Quick, y'all. Let's see. On the build, if you've been following along, we're bang, 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 bang doing these videos. Of course, the last one we did, I put it out at lunch today, was the floor pan. So you can see I got the floor pan in there and everything. That's as far as I'm going right now with it. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm going to do the halo over my head. That's the next one that needs to be done, because then after that, I'm pointing like y'all know what that means. Yeah, hang on. Dry here. Okay. Exhibit A. Here we go. Can I put this up? Here we go. Can I see? Yeah. Bear with me a second. We gotta do it. Studio change. Hang on. Studio change. Okay. Yes. Yeah, that works. All right. So we've got the main hoop behind us already, right here, and everything. I'm gonna take, and we're going to put in the halo over our head next. I think it's going to be like this right here. We're going to put that in next. And the reason that we're putting that in next is because then we're going to do one tube that's the top rail. So my door bars, my top door bar, that is going to have an angle that comes out, and then it's going to go all the way down, and then it's going to do a 90 degree and go across, and we'll leave it long on that side, okay? But the reason I want to do this halo first is because the question is, how far forward do I want to go with this? Like, in other words, this is my dash bar. How far forward do I want to go with this dash bar? How far out do I want to go with this tube? Well, how this halo over my head, like where this corner lands, is going to help me understand kind of where, like how far back. Because what I'll do is when I first do this, I'll just take one long piece of tube, and I'm just going to bend it and leave it long both ways. And then I'll turn around and I'll set me up some braces or something where I can just lay it up there where it goes. And so I'll spot that thing. And that's going to help. So by having this in place, it's going to help me be able to see exactly how far out works well. I have an idea. I think I'm going to be right outside the frame rail is where it's going to be. But anyway, but how far forward, where does that dash bar go? Because I'll be able to take and mock up and see where this corner down tube right there is going to go. And where is this corner down tube going to go? Here. And I'm going to, am I going to do a short leg there? Am I going to take and I'm going to go over here? And how do those angles work out? What are those? Wipe that off. But like, where do those angles work out? And how does that work out? And, the whole 9 yards. Well, so I'm going to lay it up there and be able to figure that out. And then once I get that right, then I'll be able to turn around and just take a cheater tube and lay in there like a 22.5 degree is probably what I'll do there, a 22.5, and lay right there and figure out like, okay, where do I need to take and bend that, there, and then I'll turn around and I'll figure out like, okay, where is my down leg? And that tube will get cut off right there, and then we'll be able to form it in there. Once we get that, we get those down tubes in there, where they go, oh, we got her then. We got her. At that point, now you're just filling in. Now you're just plugging in everything in between them. At that point, now I can figure out, what does that V need to look like here? How am I going to cross brace this? Am I going to do a cross brace across like that? What is this, main, tower across right here going to be like, on both sides? But the point being is that at that point, you've got your pattern because you've already fixed. So like that's, like these two right here, I mean, they're it. Like, well, basically it's three tubes. When you get 3 tubes in, everything else is just, you're no longer deciding where to put the tube. You're just hooking it into what you've already put at that point. So the back main hoop, the halo over your head, and the top dash bar and tube coming around, those are the ones, them 3 right there. So that's the order. We're going to try to get this one and this one here, those 2 right there. We're going to try to get those in the next video. I'm going to try to do them in the morning. We'll start on them. Try the video like all day tomorrow, and then, like I said, that'll be the next video that goes out. Is them right there, and get them in, because we got to go while we've got the time to go, and then turn around, and then because, of course, starting Sunday, Monday, I got to work on the Camaro. I got, like I said, got to go through tires, get everything ready, get the trailer ready to go, make sure we're ready to go for that, where we can take off. Because I got to work next week, 2 days. So, okay, where are we at? We are just about out of time. What have I missed, y'all? Let me come back. Oh, Patrick Langley's on here. Hey, Patrick. Patrick's one of our sponsors. Patrick's those ugly. Hey, let me tell you. Junior was asking about those headers. Let me do that. That's that VHT paint. That VHT paint right there was orange. I Cranked that engine up, and like 2 minutes later, it was burnt yellow. It was VHT flame proof, but I think I can go back and put another coat on it now, and that would hold. Because I try to paint them where they don't just rust out, you know. So anyway, so I need to paint them again. I do. Let's see. Justin Real, Russell Dobbs will be at the Ice Bowl. Russell, come by, say hi. Yeah, we'll be there. Our feature is Saturday, so we're gonna be there Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And Michael Hook, how big is the track when you use a 633 gear? We have a 3/8 track when we use a 600 gear and hitting 7,000 RPMs. Yeah, that sounds right. All right, so and somebody else had asked me about this on. Let me get a little bit up to this edge here. Maybe this won't bounce away. So somebody else had asked me about tracks and gear sizes and stuff. That is it's like an art, because like a 3/8 track. Okay, well a 3/8 track that is like really oval shaped. So like if the straightaway, like when you go down the straightaway, if you like sweep out to the wall and then sweep back in, and it's got bank where you roll through the corner, and it's true 3/8, now that track could need like a 583 gear and still turn 7,000 RPMs, because you could just be blistering around that thing because it's got tons of grip. You know, it's got the bank in, it's the big oval where you're holding all the speed. But at the same time, you could be a true 3/8, and it could be very flat, and it could be like a paper clip where that you drag race straight down the straightaway. No sweeping out and sweeping in, straight down the straightaway. And then you have to break the car down and like rotate the car, like make the car turn. You know, and it tends to tail out a little bit on you, and you're kind of like doing a little bit of a skate through the corner. Well, you're really going to scrub off speed. You're going to be really going slow, you know, as you head down that next straightaway. And for those reasons, that same 3/8 track, you might need a 650 gear, you know, in order to be able to get off the corner, because you're going so slow. And, you know, and like when you're going down the straightaway, you're going to have to really break the car down, you know, in order to rotate and turn it in. And so like, you've got to run a really short gear where you lift and decelerate the car. And so you have to keep in mind that like, it's the track. It's not just the size. And promoters are real bad about saying the size of their track, and that is the outside wall of the track. Because everybody wants to say their track's bigger than what it is, you know, and because bigger it is, the more it costs. And, you know, so like there's a lot of tracks that people tell me is a 3/8 track. That track ain't been 3/8, and it's like if you had a dirt bike riding around on the top of the concrete all the way around the outside wall, it might be 3/8. You know, and so just be aware, a lot of 3/8 tracks are actually a third. And, you know, and so you're in the, you know, 650, 633 on 3/8 track. But if you're turning 7,000 RPMs on a 633, you go to a 620, you're probably going to drop to 6,800. You know, you drop down to a 615, you know, you're probably going to get down there towards that 65, 6,600 RPMs. You know, you can back down like that if you need to. Because, I mean, if you're on a hydraulic cam on a 2-barrel, 7,000 RPMs, yeah, your motor's probably, you know, it's probably running out of air. It's probably at 7,000 RPMs going, I'm done. You know, like the motor that I'm running, you know, in this Crush that's going in the new car, 7,000 RPMs, it's just getting happy. You know, I built too much motor, y'all. I can't believe it. I'd have never thought that in a million years. I built too much motor. I did talk to Mike Jones though, and I am taking some advance out of the cam. I'll show that. The motor's over here. I don't know why I'm pointing over there. But anyway, we're gonna take some advance out of it. He said take 2 degrees out. It's gonna calm it down some. If I need to, I can take 2 more. But then after that, we need to cut another cam for it. Well, I'll take 2 out because the motor is just chokes so bad at $4,000, and at 4,500, it is just like, come on, give me some more, you know. And so like that transition, and you know, like I need the throttle blades, the idle to be completely closed, where when I, you know, completely let off the throttle, you know, it shuts the car down. And when you pick it up, if that RPM's down there around $4,000, when you're on the inside of a dry slick track and you're trying to pick the throttle up, I fought that car trying to run in the slick down on the bottom. and it's like that motor would just, it would choke, and then come on. And of course, when it would come on, it would just immediately just kick the rear end out, you know. And I was just wanting to just pick up a little bit of throttle. I just needed to pick up a little bit of throttle. And, you know, and nope, it was just having any part of it. I don't think I've got the best carburetor for that engine as well, you know, and I'm going to take 2 degrees of time out. And my plan is I'm taking 2 degrees of advance out of the cam. And then if it's still, you know, throttle transition still sucks, probably going to look at the carburetor as well, possibly just getting a different carburetor, maybe go with a Willys where I can take the car, put it on the dyno, you know, pay the money, and like, let's get the transition on this thing where it works. You know, because if I can't pick up the throttle down on the inside on a slick track, I'm not going anywhere in these big races. I mean, it's just all it is. Competition's too tight. You can't have a problem like that. You cannot have a problem like that and be competitive in these big races. So that's going on there. And I don't know how I got from RPMs and gears, but I got there somehow. BAIMS says, make sure to use the real soft rubber rear bushings. All-Star makes this stuff. The soft rubber, you know, on the Crush, we ran all of the trailing arm, all the rubbers, all the way around to maximize the softness of it and everything. We're going to have probably more articulation on this car as far as it moving and stuff. And I think I'm doing a combination. So I'm going to run a real soft rubber on one end, and I'm going to run a hind joint on the other, is how I think this is going to work out. Where that, you know, and I'm going to take, and I got some 1-inch molly tubing, and I got some good, the FX, the good hind joints and everything. I got the bungs to weld in, all the stuff. I got everything I need to build the trailing arms. And so I think what we're going to do is we're going to do a modified hybrid. We're going to run a rubber on the rear end, and we're going to run a Heim on the car on the frame side, because I need to have that give in there, but I want a rear end that will move really easy, that'll articulate very easy. I don't want to leave any stone unturned on that. So that's kind of what I'm thinking on that. So like, yeah, I'll be looking for like a durometer 40 on that rubber is what I'll be looking for there. Jerry McKee, I'm going to have to get me a shirt when it comes to it. I will bring shirts. I've got shirts. Okay, so here's the deal on shirts. So I took the shirts off the website because it's kind of mix and match, and I don't have all of the sizes and all the different shirts, and we really want to do something new and different on the I like this logo right here, but I'd like for us to redesign the logo where that we got something that we could do like, you know, one color and that would work. We've never made hats. We'd like to make hats and do a lot more stuff and everything. So, you know, I want to be able to just take the time this spring and let's get a new logo. Let's get a new look. We're going to have new cars. And Rachel's getting a new body on the Camaro. So I talked to Mr. Bentley and with Dominator. Y'all know I am a huge Dominator race products fan. I've been running their noses now for several years. I got their nose and fenders on my Camaro. I got their nose and fenders on the Crush. I'm gonna have their nose and fenders on the new car. But I talked to Mr. Bentley, and he told me after we get done at Talladega and everything, get the car back in the shop, get the body off of it, he is going to work with us, you know, whether it be discounted or he's going to help us with some of the parts and stuff, but he is going to give us some assistance on putting the entire body on the Camaro, and we're going to put those new poly sides on the car that are a composite plastic laminate side, because Rachel really needs those. She's listening. She knows she needs those. She needs something really tough. I wonder if they make a poly composite wheel. Yeah. But anyway, but yeah, so they're going to help us, and however that works out, you know, whatever it is, whether it's a discount or whatever it is, we're just thankful for whatever help we get on that. And then and we're completely honest about that. So parts are going to come in, we're going to put the body on the Camaro, we're going to show everything, and however they do, of course, I'm already a huge fan of the product. So, you know, like review-wise, I think it's the best material and the best way that it can be made, period. So like that's already a given. But as far as like with them and what they're doing for us, whatever that turns out to be, we're just completely honest about that. But we're getting a complete body for the Camaro after we go to the Ice Bowl. And then we're going to use the Dominator products regardless on the Crush. But we're doing orange on that. Oh, I said Crush. The new car. I don't know what we're going to call the new car. But it's going to be orange. And we've already got 6 or 7 sheets of the aluminum and stuff to go on it. So that's going on. And then, so how to get there? So we'll take pictures of the new cars and the looks and everything and try to come up with some artwork and graphics and stuff to do some shirts and some things, you know, because Rachel's going with a completely different color scheme. She's going to have her own number. You know, we got a J2 on that Camaro, and that's me. I'm J2. She's not. And so she has to decide on what her number is going to be. That's going to be her choice. And then she got to live with it from now on. No changing. Whatever you go with, that's it. Let's see. Michael Grand. I wish there was a channel like this for asphalt. Great information. I love all racing, but I am a dirt guy. Just got to be honest. Yep. Doug Johnson. Have you guys actually measured the track? I've went to tracks and they said it was 3/8. Actually a quarter. Yeah, we're on this. Doug, I think me and you is channeling the same thoughts. Andrew 406. I see Andrew a lot on the channel. He leaves some good comments, good information. He wished the internet still existed when he used to race. Yeah, there's a lot of information out there now. Hammond Motorsports is a good source from some parts. Hammond Motorsports, he's got some great videos out there, y'all, on setup and stuff you need to check out. Turbo Monza, that's Jared. All right, Jared, I hope you were on here earlier when we were showing and everything the parts. I think, yeah, because Jared was on here because I got all my ball joints in. I was showing them earlier, so hopefully you were on here. All right, and Sam said that he is okay with me mixing up the bushings and the bearings. So, and Sam's watching me like a hawk. He was looking at what I was doing on where that rear main hoop was, and he's like, you know, what do you got? 2.5 inches right there? And I was like, yeah, it's 3 when I measured it. So he was watching me pretty close. I don't think we could move. I don't think we could have moved that rear main hoop back any further. I got about 3 inches from where the tire could possibly be in full compression on the left rear. Is how close it is. But I mean, hey, if it doesn't touch, it's enough. So technically it could have went further back, but and we are over an hour. Said we were going to do an hour tonight, and so we're over an hour. I'm going to wrap up right here. I think I've gotten through all the comments and stuff. I really appreciate y'all. You know, I'm super excited. I'm getting help that I've never got. We have never gotten any help racing. We have just footed the bill, everything we've done. We have never had sponsors. We've never had a local track, so it's always been difficult to find sponsorship or help like that. So we've always just raced as we could afford it. And like the help, like we got this help on these parts. And I mean, it's $1,500 in parts, y'all. That, you know, I listed on here and I didn't know how much. And like I listed it, made the video, and I said, you know, hey, I made a list and I've got links, you know, to help with these parts for it. And 4 days later, $1,500 in parts had been ordered. And I mean, I've never had anything like that before. I've never, you know, it just blows my mind. But what it's telling me is it's like, hey, you're doing the right thing here. Keep doing this. You've got people that are watching this that agree with what you're trying to do and how you're doing it, and they're helping you to be able to do it. And I'm very, very appreciative of that. Thank y'all. All right, I'm out of here either Saturday or Sunday on that tubing. Be the next video. And then we're switching to the Camaro with Rachel. She'll be doing all the filming then. So I get a break from that. I will see y'all then. Now, how do I turn this thing off? Let's see. I have no idea, y'all. There it is. All right, bye.